We are back. This is Cynthia Becker with attorney Vince Davis on The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. We're going to take another call from Elisa in California. Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I just have some questions. I called in quite a few times, probably like every other weekend. I'm sure you guys have heard or remember my story. I was reported by a caseworker at a transitional shelter who assumed that I was using. And basically they opened up a case because of her assumption, and she stated clearly that she had no evidence during the investigation. It was taken to court like that, and they still opened the case on me, even though I tested clean throughout the entire 2-month investigation. And basically everybody who was involved with the investigation didn't see anything wrong. They still opened the case and wanted me to, for one, DCFS tried to still put in a detention order, which was denied by the judge, thank God. And then the judge still opened the case just because it was a mandated reporter and because I have a history with DCFS from 2 years ago when my son was born. I've been clean since then, and basically the only evidence that they had to open the case was because I started working with a new sponsor after not being involved with my recovery, but there was no relapse. I just wasn't going to meetings, I wasn't working with the sponsor, I wasn't working with steps, and basically when the investigator asked me for my clean date, and I told them they're not going to really understand how it works. I've been clean since 2017, but my recovery date is, whatever the date was. And
hold on, Alyssa.
She took it to court
Alyssa?
saying that I had relapsed.
Alyssa, what was your question that you had to ask?
Well, I have a question about whether or not it's, what do I do about, how long do I have to file an appeal for one about them using that as evidence?
Well, you have 60
no
days.
evidence.
You have 60 days to file an appeal in California after the judge has made jurisdictional and dispositional findings.
So is there any way that I could appeal having the case open or any of the court orders just altogether? Because I want to.
Yeah, you would do that.
This case is unnecessary.
You would do that after the dispositional hearing.
So I've already had the dispositional hearing. I'm already in the process of waiting for my 6-month review hearing.
Okay. Well, you have to file a notice of appeal.
Okay.
Within 60 days after the dispositional hearing. Now, has that time passed or no?
I'm not too sure. It's been since August 17th.
Okay, so August 17th,
how many days that is, but
September, October. I don't think it's passed yet, but it's coming up really quick. So you better talk to your attorney about filing that notice of appeal.
With all the orders, right?
Alyssa, if you're talking over me, I can't give you information. So talk to your attorney. I think you still may have time to file your notice of appeal, and you and your attorney can file that notice of appeal where you can appeal the judge's decision of keeping you in the case or keeping an open case on you, as you have put it. Alyssa, I want to thank you.
I have another question.
Okay, go ahead.
What are my rights as far as if I'm pregnant? Do they need to know?
That's always an interesting question. I generally advise clients not to talk about that with social workers. Depending on what but it depends. It just depends on the facts of your case, and whether I would give that advice or just openly tell the social worker. It would depend on very many different things. Were you going to say something?
I have a question.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, my question, because I have a lot of people that I interview, once social workers have already taken the children, if you get pregnant, does that child now become...
My son was not detained.
Hold on one moment. Does that child now become part of that case?
Not necessarily.
Why then do social workers show up at the hospital and assume...
Because that's what they, social workers like to detain children.
Right.
Right? It's a kind of a money-making operation there. So, but you can fight it.
So there is a way to protect the unborn.
Yes. But it depends on a lot of different factors.
Right.
A lot of different factors. Hey, Alyssa, I want to thank you for calling in again and listening to the show. Keep listening and give us an update in a few weeks on what's going on.
I have a question, Vince.
Yes.
One thing that I have a lot of questions from my interviewers that I interview is the aftermath of getting the children back and the complications that we deal with our children, whether it be separation anxiety or temper tantrums, anger management. And it doesn't seem to matter how much therapy I can get my children into, for example, because I'll just be honest about my own home life. My children still seem to struggle with things that have happened in their lives with CPS a few years ago. It's still in our home.
Unfortunately, Cynthia, years ago, decades ago, I used to represent children and parents. And unfortunately, that's going to stay with them the rest of their lives, even if they go to counseling. It's just, I don't think we realize the traumatic event that happens when a child is taken away from the parents. It's really traumatic. And we treat it as if, it's no, I won't say not a big deal, but, it's not that serious. It's worse to leave them in the home because mom and dad had a fight, last weekend.
I'm so tired of people saying, well, children are
resilient.
Yeah. You know what? I'm over that word.
Right.
That's why I love my daughter's show, because these kids come out and really talk about the things they're struggling with and have struggled with, and they're honest. They get to share it with a child versus being fearful that an adult, whether it's a therapist or not, is going to ruin their trust, break their trust, turn them in if they share the truth of what they're going through.
Right. It would be better if CPS were to get involved, but to leave the children with you. And that was the theme when I first started doing this, many years ago. But today the theme seems to be, let's take them out and let's put them in foster care and make the parents earn the children back if they can. And it's traumatic for these children, and I don't think that we realize what we're doing to these children. It's not a good thing, in my opinion. That's just my humble opinion. I know there are a million people that disagree with me, but that's just my opinion. Hey, we're going to take a break right now. This is The Secret, How to Fight Child Protective Services and Win.